everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. My name is Luke Lograno.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Axel.
And I'm Lawrence Lograno.
And some big news to kick off the show this week. We are now on Apple Podcasts. So if you were not listening to us on YouTube or Spotify before, and you have some, kooky little way of listening to your Apple Podcasts, we are available for you and your listening pleasure. So big step up for us in the world.
Woo!
Now, some more big news. We actually have a guest this week. We have Nick Diekmann coming on to discuss some baseball, some basketball, and some football with us. But before we do any of that, we got to get into our picks. So let's take a look at the leaderboard and see how everyone is doing. Now, Lawrence has taken the top spot. He is in first place with 22 points and a record of 10-8. David has fallen down to second place. He's got 20 points, but he's got a record of 12-6.
That's a really tough
12-6. Ryan is still in it with 19 points and a record of 9-9, and I am in last place with 13 points and a record of 6-12. Go ahead, Lawrence. Start us off.
Wow, I'm first. I'm on the spot. I'm not used to being in this position. What do I do? All right. I'm going to make my 1-point pick a road favorite. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns in Denver. Brandon Allen makes his first start for the Broncos. Don't know how they're going to come out with the new rookie quarterback. Taking the Browns on the road, laying 3.5. Book it.
David, go right ahead.
My number one pick is going to be Seattle, laying 5 at home against the Bucks. Just don't think it's enough. They are way better than the Bucks. Bucks have been really struggling lately, even though their offense has been live. But, we've seen Russell Wilson play. We've seen the Seattle defense not be exceptional, but be very good. And it just seems like a real mismatch.
David, you got that line at 5?
Yeah, line's 5 on, at least I'm going to double check. I just looked at it. Yeah, it's 5.
All right, you'll hear more from me about that later. Ryan, go ahead.
All righty, I'm going to let you in on a little hint here, boys. I am taking all road favorites this week. Doing the unthinkable, but I believe when David did it, he went 3-0. I could be correct, or 2-1. So
I think so. I think there was a week I did.
You took 3 road favorites and came out with a winning record, so I'm going to follow in your lead, and God, I cannot believe I'm about to do this. And if this is the pick that bites me in the ass, I won't be surprised. But the Miami Dolphins are such a bad football team. I think the Jets can win by more than 3 points, and I am going to put a point on the New York Jets because I think the Dolphins suck just that much more than the Jets suck. So I am taking the Jets.
Suck both for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to pick the team that sucks the least with this pick. It's not really picking a winner here. But I think the Jets will suck less, so I have them as 3-point favorites at Miami, and I think that they can do it.
Think about it, though. If the Dolphins were to win a game this year, this would be the one.
I know, and I hear you, but after the Jets, I think they can win this game. I think.
Brian, do you want me to move my lips as you talk? Because I'm going with the same pick. I'm going with the Jets. I'm giving up the 3.5 in Miami. You said it. They're just. Ryan Fitzpatrick is trying to will this team into winning a football game. And I feel bad for Ryan Fitzpatrick because he was once a Jet, and he's also felt this pain more than one time. But they are really trying to tank everything. I thought it was a big mistake when I saw them go up 14-0 against Pittsburgh, and then they ended up losing. This is just a safe 1-point pick. I'm going with the Jets. Lawrence, go right ahead. 2-point pick.
Ryan, you stole my thunder. I had waited to make the point that I'm taking 3 road favorites as well. So my 2-point pick will be another favorite team of someone on this podcast. I'm going with the Colts. Laying 1.
That's a mistake.
I think
man.
they're a better team. You think so?
I took the Steelers and pick them, actually. First time all season I picked against the Colts and pick them.
Picked against the Colts. All right, well, I don't believe you. I think the Steelers aren't great. They came out rough against Miami this week. I think the Colts bounced back with a win here. Taking the Colts on the road. Book it.
David, go ahead.
So for number 2, I'm going to contradict you, Lawrence, and I'm going to take the Broncos, getting a 3.5 at home. Even with the rookie quarterback in his first start, Kid's been around a bit. He came out of college, I think, 2 years ago it was. So this NFL stuff isn't really new to him, even though he hasn't made a start. And he just, I think that him and Flacco are not that different at this point. And the Broncos have been fundamentally better than the Browns up to this point. And they're getting points in a home game. Seems like a no-brainer to me.
This will be interesting. Ryan, go ahead.
We're going to have to go back and listen to all the picks because I'm starting to get really scared with how similar Larry and I think. Like, we're getting to a point, and I swear, people, on everything, that we do not talk about these picks until we get here. And I am picking the Colts. -1 at Pittsburgh. And I'm telling you, people, these are not planned. This is really weird. It's starting to get a little creepy. But
Ryan, I'm only assuming our 3-point pick is exactly the same.
I'm so scared. But we'll see. But I agree. Luke and I almost bet on that Pittsburgh game, and I was going to do the over and Pittsburgh at the spread, and Pittsburgh looked horrible. So I am going to pick against them. I think the Colts are going to win this game. And David, I can't believe you don't have faith in the Colts to win this game.
I have a ton of faith in us as a season. I just think that we're due for a letdown. Didn't have it last week. We're not exactly road warriors. And we're not actually that good. We're pretty good. But I mean, if you look at like the total combined scores of all the games, they've all been tight games. And this could totally be one that gets away. Out in the elements.
To David's credit, the last time I bet the Colts, he told me it was a mistake and I lost. So
yeah. And every time I bet the Colts in the show, they have covered.
Wow. There you go.
I know my team,
David, I'm so happy Seattle was your 1-point pick because I just knocked off 1.5 of my spread. I'm also taking Seattle. I thought the line was 6.5. Turns out it's 5.
Yeah, it's been plummeting today.
So that's great. I'm so excited to hear that I don't have to cover by as much anymore. But David, like you said, Tampa has been on a cold streak. Seattle looks good. You really hit all the points. I really don't get to talk anymore when it comes to predictions. I got to stop being the last one to talk.
It just seems like a mismatch to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. So, Lawrence, 3-point picks. Go ahead and take it away.
All right. This is the only game I semi feel comfortable actually betting this weekend. I'm going with the Green Bay Packers on the road, laying 3.5 against the Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Packers can travel well. I think the spread isn't enough. I know they're favorites on the road, but I don't think the spread's enough. Chargers have no fans. They've kind of looked disheveled this year. I'm going Packers, laying points, 3.5 on the road. I really hope you didn't take this, Ryan. Book it.
We will book it. David, go ahead.
So this is very unlike me, but my 3-point pick is going to be a big favorite, and it's going to be the Buffalo Bills at home against the Redskins. I actually made this pick before I knew Dwayne Haskins would be starting, but now that he is, I'm even more confident in it. They're only laying 9, which another mismatch it seems. I know they're not the most live offense, but that Washington team is liable to just hand you points. So they should win by way more than 10.
Ryan, before you make your pick, I just want to commend David because David's been on a 3-point bet cold streak, and he's going with the big spread. So hats off to you, Dave. Real big cojones on you. So, Ryan, go ahead.
Death, taxes, and quarterbacks under the age of 24 being ruined by Bill Belichick. Those are the guarantees in life. Lamar Jackson's 22 years old, and if there's one thing that Bill Belichick does best, it's scheming around players to make them do the thing they're most uncomfortable. And he loves doing this even more with mobile quarterbacks. Because where quarterbacks that are mobile make their money is they run around and they make defenses frantic, and then they make an absurd throw that is incredibly talented, and I'm not taking that away from them, but that is where they make their money. Put Lamar Jackson in the pocket, don't make him run around and make him throw throws against the best defense in the league, and I do not see a way where the Baltimore Ravens win this football game. The line came out at 5.5 or 6. It is now down to 3, which I think is crazy. I'm taking the Patriots against Baltimore just because Bill Belichick loves young quarterbacks, and he just knows how to scheme them well. And I don't think that Lamar Jackson will be able to throw the ball well enough to beat this defense.
Can I just say Ryan's being very show friendly Ryan was very, very show friendly today. He took his 3 picks were the 3 teams that we root for. Just saying.
You know what? You know what's crazy? I didn't even think about that. It didn't cross my mind until now. But I like all the games, so we'll see.
Just lie. Just tell us you're trying to make us happy.
Where? I didn't. So, I think, but I also picked small spreads. Like I think the spreads are all low. Like I was kind of surprised by a couple of them, especially the Pats one going down. Like people are really putting money on Baltimore to win this football game
because they hate the Patriots.
It's just because Jackson's been so good at what he's done. No one's come close to stopping him, and they can't imagine the Patriots doing it. And I think that this is probably the biggest test they've had all season, this Ravens offense. But anyways, Luke, sorry to cut you off.
Thanks, David. So, boys, I haven't have to go back and look at this, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time in a while that the 4 of us have had different 3 picks. We're all picking some different game this week. This is a big stretch on my end. I'm not super comfortable with this pick, but I think that the spread is close enough to the point where I feel good with it. I'm taking the Houston Texans, giving up 1.5 in Jacksonville. I think these are 2 incredibly hot and cold games.
London.
It's in London. There you go.
Oh, that game's in London. I didn't realize.
Yeah, 9:30.
I didn't know that game was in London either.
That's the second time that someone has made a pick on the show and found out it was in London, right?
Yeah, I hate it when that happens. They should put like a little asterisk on there. On the line, this team's in London.
One of the football starts at 9 in the morning.
I don't look at times, Ryan. I look at spreads.
Yeah, I don't look at the times either. I should know though because Josh Lambo's my kicker in one of my fantasy leagues.
Yeah, see, regardless, I'm going with it. So it's a London game, and that means that anything can happen. And the spread's really, really tiny, and I think that Houston should really, really have no problem beating the Jacksonville team.
The reason that spread's so low, Luke, is because Jacksonville has by far the best record in London games of any team.
There you go.
What a stat. How the hell do you know that?
Because
they play there
Jacksonville's always in London. Jacksonville's always in London, yeah. But I think this Houston team has its days. It's clearly got a tall order ahead of it that I'm clearly learning right now. So, what's good? What do you know? Let's see how it goes.
That's the face of someone who didn't love their 3-point pick who just found out the game's in London.
Luke, you're right.
Luke,
exactly
the most prepared person for this podcast week in and week out is flustered right now that he didn't know that game was in London. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
Honestly, Luke, the way your picks have been going, you're better off.
Exactly. You know what? I'm finally starting to figure it out, so who knows? Maybe I just struck gold.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, I could not be worse than getting blanked the first 2 weeks. It literally can't get worse. So if I get blanked again, I've already done it twice. How much worse can it get? So
not much.
Yeah.
Yep, there you go. All right, so picture out of the way. We've got a lot of news to talk about. Let's throw it over to our interview with Nick Diekmann. And we are here with our special guest, Nick Diekmann. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hello, gentlemen. Nice to be on. Thanks for allowing me.
Absolutely, Nick. We're so happy to have you. Now, Nick, the reason we brought you on, it's not for the best of reasons. And guys, I want to apologize. I'm sorry if I'm not my usual self, Nick. Last night really got me down, but I'm going to try and muster through the show today. Well, to quote Gary Cohen, the impossible has happened. The Washington Nationals are your World Series champions. A 6-2 win in Houston sealed the deal, and now Max Scherzer, Juan Soto, and Steven Strasburg are all immortalized in history. David, go ahead. Commence your bragging.
Bragging?
Yeah, you can this.
What do you think, I'm a Nats fan? Oh, no, I mean, I thought the Yankees would beat them. I'm happy that I called them getting to the World Series. But I feel like we all should have known because of how good their pitching staff is. And it was the best 2 pitching staffs in the World Series, as it is pretty much every year. So, is it really that different? It's just they were a wild card team because they started 19-32.
I mean, but besides Corbin, right, this is the same pitching staff that's blown the playoffs for them year after year after year. Strasburg wins MVP, but
yeah, it's not 1/5 of your games. A fifth of your games pitched by another all-star now, though. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it's true, but they did struggle in the beginning of the season. I think their odds to win the World Series, like in July, were like 50-1 or something like completely absurd. They were.
They started 19-30, I think, to begin the season, or 19-31, whatever it is. They had no right to be in the playoffs. I thought the Mets were going to take it, honestly. I thought the Mets would sneak in. I thought the Mets would sneak into the wild card, and yet here we are. And the Nationals have done the impossible, the absolute impossible. Winning 4 games, sweeping Houston at home. I mean, whoever would have thought that, you're crazy.
I think it was Dom Darpino who asked us in the mailbag a few episodes ago, how important is home field advantage going to be in the postseason this year? Wow. And now we've seen for the first time, not only did the road team win 6 games, they won all 7. The road team won every single World Series game. How unprecedented is that?
I believe it's the first time in any major sport that's happened in any 7-game series.
Correct.
Yep.
6 was the big one. 6 would have been the record itself.
Right. Now, 6 tied the record, I think. The 7 broke it. Was that what it was?
I think 6 was the record in baseball. It might have tied the record elsewhere. But 7 is now the record completely. We don't even have to keep talking about it.
They are the sole holder of the 7 now. Think about in the wild card game, they were losing in the 9th inning.
And most games they were losing, if you think about it, right? Wild card, they were losing. The Dodgers, they were losing, I think, in 2 games. And then playoff Kershaw comes out, does his thing. Boom.
Yeah, blows it.
I don't think anyone, I don't think it shocked the world that they beat the Cardinals because they're coming off so hot from the Dodgers. But I'll tell you what, them doing what they did to Houston, I mean, I think in all 4 games, too, they were down at least 2 runs.
Yep.
And they came back and won. And Rendon, I mean, he was my World Series MVP. I know Strasburg, pitched a hell of a World Series and in the whole playoffs, but Rendon was my World Series MVP. That guy raked. And
Did you guys
absolutely raked?
Did you guys see the split of runs that the Nationals scored between like the 1st and the 6th innings, and then the 7th through 9?
Yes, sir.
They doubled their run total in the last 3 innings of the ballgame. Like you want to talk about clutch hitting?
That's pretty absurd.
For those of you who
didn't see it, clutch.
For those of you who didn't see it, in the first 6 innings of the World Series, the Nationals had scored 12 runs, and in the last 3 innings of every game, they combined for 21 runs. And I think that's what hurts the most as a Mets fan watching the Nationals win the World Series is not because they're clutch, because they have some great bats and some great players, and that's not a surprise to anybody. But their fatal flaw was their bullpen, and we didn't get to see them screw up once. Not once did we get to see this bullpen fall because they were always clutch. They never needed them.
Was their bullpen really that bad then in the end of the day?
Yes.
Not really.
Do we just have a muddled viewpoint?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter in playoff baseball. Like, their bullpen was bad in the regular season. They'll be the first to admit it. They'll make improvements of it in the offseason. But it didn't matter when Strasburg, Scherzer, Corbin, they were all going 7 or 8, and then Hudson
8 and a third. Strasburg 8 and a third with 1 run, 2 runs. I mean, insane.
He was the MVP.
Wait,
there's a
lot.
lot. Go back to
because you said was their bullpen really that bad, and then you said that those 3 guys were all going either 7 or 8, so we barely got to see the bullpen.
Right.
When we did see them, they were perfect.
We did see it. It wasn't that bad. Doolittle wasn't bad. Hudson wasn't bad. And those are the only guys you saw.
They weren't just not bad. They were perfect, right? I mean, can you think about a bullpen?
Well, I think Ronnie came in Washington. And
Rodney did blow one. You're right, actually.
He blew that game wide open, grand slam. Yeah, I think it was game 3 at the Nationals, and he lit up he comes in. I don't even know why he's in that situation with bases loaded, but he comes in and just boom, grand slam, game's over. Get back to Houston, and then what happens.
So there's a lot of moments in this World Series that we obviously can't touch base on all of them and really flesh out. Like, for instance, the call on Trey Turner running in Game 6, but I really want to point to one and see what you guys all think of it, because I personally believe that A.J. Hinch lost the Astros that game last night with one decision, and that was to take Zach Greinke out of the game. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. The guy was throwing 7 innings of shutout ball. He gives up 1 home run, lets 1 guy on base. His pitch count is 70. This is Game 7. Game 7. And he yanked him. And we didn't see Cole the rest of the night at all. Like, I feel like, to me, you yanked Greinke for one reason there, and that's to bring in Garrett Cole. Like, Greinke was on.
Yeah, and you took the words right out of my oh my God, you took the words right out of my mouth, Lawrence. I don't have a problem with taking Zach Greinke out. I would have kept him in personally because, I believe that would have been the right decision, but it's all retrospective here. I think my problem is that if you're going to take Zach Greinke out, you put in Garrett Cole. That's the only option, and that didn't happen. Now, obviously, I'm playing, Monday morning quarterback here, but it just seems like the only smart decision here. That's the only reason you should be taking Zach Greinke out of the game.
I mean, he clearly didn't want to come out, right? The guy was borderline crying when Hinch came out of the dugout and took him off the mound. Like, it was crazy to me. It was absolutely berserk. I couldn't believe it.
And I think there was a few other ones in there too. I mean, obviously that's the highlighted one because immediately Harris gives up that home run and just disaster, right?
Takes the wind out of you. Yeah.
Just everyone. The place goes silent. There's no. I don't think that even it was 6-2, but I think if it just left at 3-2, they would have never won that game. I mean, it is what it was. But there's a few things too. I think when I'm blanking on the person's name for the Astros, but he bunts. There's 2 men on in I think it was a second or fourth inning, and he tries to bunt with 2 men on, pops up foul line to the catcher. I mean, right then and there, you have Max Scherzer on the ropes, and you're going to throw him an out by bunting. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do with Max Scherzer. Give him an out. You want to make the players make plays, not give an out for Max Scherzer to rely on. So I think that was a big one. And also, Trey Turner hit a seed. Now, Correa, for some reason, was in on that ball. This was like in the 5th or 6th inning. He was in on that ball. He should have been playing regular second base. And although that ball was hit hard, he's out. That's a routine ground ball. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to go about. And putting in Will Harris did not make sense. Even A.J. Hinch in his post-game, Game 6, said that guy deserves a rest more than anybody. And he was the first one out of the bullpen. So I think you put either Osuna, I wouldn't have a problem with Osuna at all, or Garrett Cole in that situation. And it's a way different game.
I'm sure you guys saw this, but Greinke's pissed. Greinke came out in his post-game and said, "I'm not speaking as a representative of the Houston Astros organization. I'm speaking as a representative of myself."
Garrett Cole.
Oh, that was Garrett Cole.
What did I say?
You said Zach Greinke.
Oh, that's my apologies. Yeah,
Garrett Cole was wearing his agent's hat, talking to Boris hat, talking to reporters. And you know what I keep saying? Welcome to the New York Yankees, kid. That's what I'm saying.
He'll be signing in the Bronx in a couple months.
I'm saying welcome to the New York Yankees. Savage.
That's going to be like a 5-year, $190 million deal.
It's going to be a record-breaking deal. But I think if I'm speaking honestly, A.J. Hinch to the Mets might actually happen.
Yeah, I was gonna mention this tweet I saw that said it straight up said maybe A.J. Hinch can't manage a bullpen. Maybe he actually is the next manager.
Either that or pick your choice.
I saw him call Will Harrison, and I saw the game go in the Nationals' favor, and I just saw Terry Collins just pop up out of nowhere. I just had the worst feeling in the world that somehow Terry Collins is watching this game and smiling like, that's my guy. Ugh.
I mean, I respect A.J. Hinch so much. I think he's one of the best managers in baseball. And I think what happened was he just overthought it. The moment got bigger than him, and he said, I'm going with my guy, and he did not have it, obviously.
Greinke was only planned to throw 5 that game. He did so well, they let him pitch more. It was supposed to be Greinke 5, Garrett Cole 2 1/3, Harris gets 2 outs, Osuna gets 1 inning, the last inning. So Greinke got so deep, they figured, you know what, screw it. Let's just have Harris take these 2 outs, then we'll go into the 8th with a lead and just have Cole close it.
Right.
I mean, it should have been Osuna if you think about it. If you're going to have Cole close, you should have just put Osuna in to get those 2 outs.
Yep.
That's what I'm thinking too. Or if you want to keep Osuna as a closer, just put Garrett Cole in and you don't touch anybody else. I mean, there's no reason.
I think their thought
Harris. Yeah, go ahead.
But if they go to extras, they would have been done if they used Osuna at that time. That may have been his thought because they didn't really have anything left in the tank to go into extras. If you already used Cole, Verlander pitched Game 6. You have a bunch of shaky starters behind him and a bullpen that you really only got those 2 guys.
I mean, for God's sakes, though, Urquidy got into the game last night at one point.
Yeah, and he pulled up again, and he let up some runs too. But I mean, you have to also play the moment, right? I mean, the worst thing managers can do is play for tomorrow, and in the Game 7, extra innings is basically tomorrow. You have to play what you have in front of you. Yeah. You're up in the game. You're not losing. You're up.
I saw a tweet today. That said, "Don't worry, guys. Garrett Cole's gonna be fresh as hell for Game 8."
It's going to be fresh as hell for Yankees opening day next year. I'll tell you that.
I think I don't want to see Chapman walk. It would leave up some space in the cap, but we'll see what happens in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
listen,
Nick,
Dan,
on
at
this
the end
show,
of the-
Ryan is really, really, really upset about the fact that he has to hear so much Met talk.
I'm sorry.
So maybe you can come on more often and just talk about the Yankees all the time, and we can piss him off even more.
Yeah, that'd be
You know
great.
what? I would love to. During
Wonderful.
the offseason and preseason, I would love to come on and just talk.
When pitchers and catchers report, Nick Diekmann
I'm
comes
in.
back
I'll
on
get
this
Nick on.
podcast.
I'll get
I'm
Nick
in.
on. Well, Ryan, congrats. Baseball's over for now. wait,
Till
wait,
February.
Wait, yeah. So until the new year. All
Until
right.
the Mets hire their new manager. Let's be real,
Yeah,
boys.
that's true. So next week.
Very
And then
true.
when the Red Sox figure out what the hell they're going to do this entire offseason.
Yeah, that'll
Dude,
be
Heim
fun.
Bloom. Huge Heim Bloom. We didn't talk about
Yeah.
Heim Bloom. Huge.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Dude.
I think he's got a tough situation he's walking into right now. What, Luke? How do you
What?
shake your head at that? Oh, I thought you were.
I was scratching my eye. I've got
Oh,
something.
I thought you were reacting as if like what tough situation.
Yeah,
I was
chill.
like figuring out what to do with Mookie Betts and JD's contract.
Well, I always think that Boston's never in a tough situation, but that's besides the point.
All right, this I would not want to take over the Red Sox this offseason.
No
That
way.
is for sure.
I would
They're
not.
dumping off so much money.
It's the
so
year
many
after a
players.
World Series. You guys always play like crap. It's bound to happen.
Yeah, but you have to figure out what you're going to do with Mookie if you offer him, what you're going to do with JD, and do you continue to with that pitching staff who you paid Chris
Atrocious.
Sale a ton of money, who is I consider
Threw his arm
how
out.
they paid Chris Sale after the World Series to what the Rams did with Gurley, where they paid him and neither one of them was 100%, and you could clearly see that this season with Gurley and this season with Sale. I think they're the exact same scenario. I think
I would
both.
honestly
You guys had Yohan Moncada.
Yeah, right. I would say Sale was worse.
I mean, we're not
Ben
talking
Gurley.
about David Price and David Price's.
Yeah,
And you know what's sad? David Price
It's
wasn't even
gross.
the problem this year. He wasn't. Of everyone in that pitching staff,
Yeah.
David Price was not the storyline. That's just true. Not to mention
Which
that you
is
had
funny.
Nathan Eovaldi, who you paid a ridiculous amount of money, closing
Oh, he
games
gone.
because you didn't want to pay Craig Kimbrell. Like, it was just the entire
That was crazy.
situation of the Reds. And like, why? You're the Red Sox. Pay him. Pay him the money. Like, I
The
get
way-
it that
The
Kimbrell
way
was.
Craig Kim, I was gonna say the way Craig Kimball played as a Chicago Cub, you did not want to play. You did not want to pay that man. He was atrocious in Chicago.
I mean, he was.
He was
at
garbage in
times with the
Chicago, and you
Sox.
can't.
I wasn't gonna say that. I was saying he was iffy at times with the Sox too. The problem with Kimbrell is if you don't put him in a safe situation, he's not gonna pitch well.
Journal
he
was
is
not
not-
there.
If he is not in a safe situation, do not put him on the mound. There were so many times he blew things up in the 8th inning with 2 outs because it wasn't the safe situation. So that's the issue with Kimbrell that you got to play around with. But nonetheless, I'd rather Kimbrell, who is a closer, than
Yes.
Eovaldi, who you paid a ton of money to kind of be a closer, and then try to have like the Heath Hembry and Brandon Workman kind of try to be your bullpen, and no one really knows who's closing and who's starting, and David Price kind of sucks, and Sale kind of sucks, and the Red Sox now kind of suck, and no one really knows what's going on. So that was a long rant to prove to Luke that I would not want to take over the Red Sox right now. It is not a good summer to walk in and be the president of baseball.
You'll be
operations.
okay.
That
And I
must
take
have felt
rant
good,
as-
Ryan. Did that feel good?
It did. I mean,
he looks so relaxed.
Yeah, he's so much happier now.
Happy, smiling.
Luke's sitting here like, oh, the Red Sox have nothing to complain about. I was like, that's not true. This might be one of the most eventful offseasons the Sox have had in a few years.
All right. Well, when your next manager's Carlos Beltran, we'll talk. And I also learned that next time I get something in my eye, I got to be careful around Ryan. But anyway, let's talk some football.
Let's go.
It's another sport that makes me miserable.
Yeah, screw the Jets. Let's go Patriots.
So-
Let's
Isn't
talk.
that every sport, man?
True.
So the
You guys are
trade
the Flyers
deadline
in
is
the world.
Yeah, for everyone who doesn't follow me on Twitter, I totally just forgot last night in my misery. I totally thought the Flyers beat the Blackhawks in 2010 for the Stanley Cup. It just completely just went beside me. Yeah, I was wrong. There's nothing more about it. Anyway, let's talk some football. So the trade deadline is behind us, but it seems that even though nothing happened, there was more drama than trades.
Everything.
So Most of this drama comes around the Jets. The Jets sent Leonard Williams to the Giants for a 3rd and a 5th round pick, but other names rumored to follow him out the door included Robbie Anderson, Le'Veon Bell, and the reason we're talking about this right now, Jamal Adams. While none of them were traded, Adams went off on GM Joe Douglas for taking calls from the Dallas Cowboys looking to acquire the safety. Adams was quoted saying, "The Rams don't take calls for the Aaron Donald, and the Pats don't take calls for Tom Brady." Hey, Lawrence, do you think we're going to see Jamal Adams in green and white next year?
Maybe. And I'll say that I definitely don't think we're going to see Jamal Adams in green and white in 2 years when his rookie deal's up. I don't think there's a shot that he resigns with this team at all. And that's only because of this tirade that he had. I mean, it just looks like he's fed up. He's being a kid. So maybe if someone talks some sense into him when we start winning football games in the next 2 years, and they don't trade him by then because his value is now plummeted, because your leverage is gone, because now everyone knows he wants to leave. To me, there's no way he's a Jet in 2 years. No way. And after everything, you don't know if what Dallas would have gave you this week is going to be the best offer you'll ever get on him. So to put yourself in rarefied air like this guy did, I mean, dude, 2 years in the league, 1 Pro Bowl. Did you legitimately just compare yourself to Tom Brady? Did you do that? Because that's pretty stupid. Because there's a reason that the Patriots won't take calls on Tom Brady. But you got to be smart enough to know that this is a business. Look how Le'Veon and Robbie handled it after they didn't get traded. Seamless, like professionals. Le'Veon with the inspirational message on Instagram backs up reporters and defends the Jets for what they did when the media gets to him. Jamal cries like a little bitch. I mean, come on, man. Come on, we get it. We suck. And I know you don't come from losing, but neither does everyone else that makes it to the NFL because they're the best player on their high school team, and they probably played in a really good team in college.
Unless you went to Rutgers.
Unless you went to – that's totally reasonable. Everyone's nodding their heads right now because that statement.
And listen, I told this to you, Lawrence. Besides Sam Darnold, he's my favorite player on this team. And he is the best player on this team. There's no doubt about that. Jamal Adams is the best player on the New York Jets this second. But when it comes down to it, and listen, I know it hurts your ego when the GM says the only player off the market is the quarterback. I know that must hurt your ego. And I know you're sick and tired of losing. But look at the hand we've been dealt the last 2 years. We started this season at linebacker with C.J. Mosley and Avery Williamson. And now our top linebacker, Blake Cashman. Blake Cashman was a 5th-round pick, is out now. He's done for the season. We're down to the bits and pieces. We lost our quarterback to mono. Just nothing's going right for this team. Nothing goes right for this team. And I'm sorry we're losing. I really am. It hurts me too, buddy. It really does. But we just have the worst fucking injury bug to ever see a football team. And I'm sorry that's costing us games, but you need to realize that as a player. I
don't think it's just that either. There's a lot more than the injury bug that's wrong with the Jets, man. And what I don't think Jamal Adams realizes is that on a really bad team, a strong safety is incredibly expendable. I mean, we live in a world where Herschel Walker got traded. Literally, I would just sit him down at a computer, type in the Herschel Walker deal, make him understand how much was given up for that guy, and you can be like, hey, dude, just fucking get it. Like, real quick, like, we don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't chop you. Everyone's saying it.
And Damian Woody said it best. Did you get to watch the Damian Woody video, Lawrence?
Outstanding.
He said, dude, I'm assuming Ryan and David didn't get to see it. So he said there's 3 crucial things to a football team. An O-line, a pass rush, and great cornerbacks, to which the Jets have none. So he needs to shut the hell up and let the GM address this because that's what he wanted to do. He took these calls because he could address these 3 things that the Jets don't have. They just don't have any of it.
Also, defensive back is so expendable in the NFL. I mean, like, just be smarter than that, dude. Like, I get it. Like, you think you're a god. Clearly, like, you just compared yourself to Tom Brady.
I mean, safety has a big impact, but you have to have a good line or good linebacking core for it to even matter. because the safety can't stop the run by himself. It's just not realistic. But I mean, if I were to ask you who the best safety in the NFL is, do you not say Jamal Adams? I mean, that'd be my answer. I think he's by far the best safety in the NFL.
I mean,
I don't know who
He's just on a joke of a team.
Biased.
Yeah, he's just on a joke of a team, but I can't even think of a guy that would be on the same level as him, talent-wise, as a safety. I think that's why he's comparing himself to these guys, but he also got to realize his team's 1-6. Tom Brady hasn't lost 6 games in the past decade, probably. Ryan, you can confirm that or deny that.
But also, a star QB like that is way
more valuable.
You know?
But
you can't even do that.
Not only that, you're talking about the most dominant defensive player in the league. So you have compared yourself now to the greatest quarterback of all time and who has, over the last 3 or 4 seasons, been the most dominant defensive player in the league. And
defensive rookie of the year, 5 Pro Bowls, like 4 All-Pros in his first 5 years. Like, it's wild.
He's like he is on that tier where there's a big gap from him to the next best defensive player. He's that dominant week in and week out. And you just like you said, everyone's gonna see that tweet and that tantrum, because that's what it was. Let's call it what it was. It was immature and it was a tantrum. And go, all right, sit down, little boy. Buckle your seatbelt back in and talk to us when you've done something in the league. I'm sorry, that's just it. You can't. It just looks so foolish to go out there and say, here I am next to Aaron Donald and Tom Brady. Everyone's just gonna look at you and go, all right, you've lost any legitimacy behind anything you'll ever say again. It is. It's comical. Then that's the fact about it. He made himself look dumb. He threw a tantrum and he made himself look dumb.
Only teams that are selling really ever want to trade their star player. And the Rams and Patriots have not been in a position to sell. Also, that's the big thing I think he's not getting, is that you're 1-6 and you need to sell. Those 2 teams have never been in a position to sell, or at least not in the last 5 years. The Patriots 20, but the Rams at least 5. So
I hate to play this card, and he can pout and say he wants to be a Jet forever, all he wants, but is getting traded from a 1-6 team to a team that's fighting for a playoff spot really the worst thing in the world?
No, not at all. And that's why I think he did it, because I think he wants out.
Like, that's what I'm saying, is like, when Mohamed Sanu got traded to the Pats, the internet was lighting up about Mohamed Sanu running out of Atlanta, because it's true. You don't want to play for a team that's 1-6.
No.
Yeah, you just went from a 1-6 team to a team that is a 50-50 shot of winning the Super Bowl. Are you not happy?
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, what if Dallas wasn't it, but there was another big time team that was looking to make one final move, a 5-2 team? Are you really going to be that upset?
No, and it was the Ravens too. Like, wouldn't you be stoked, dude? I don't know.
Moving from New York to Baltimore, I wouldn't want to do that though, personally.
I'd want to play in the playoffs.
Exactly. If you're,
I think
David's talking. David, are you talking from like a logistics standpoint, like?
Yeah, I'm
like
saying
living like one of the
I
nicest
grew up
cities
and
in the
lived
world,
in New Jersey,
Baltimore.
and I don't want to move to Maryland, so I can understand the sentiment.
but if you're getting paid,
yeah, it's a little different.
I don't want to downtown Baltimore, but like,
might get a
not
ring.
one of the nicest cities in the world.
Baltimore is not. I mean, I hope we don't have any listeners that are from the city of Baltimore, but it's a dump.
And even if they are, I even call it a dump, but like statistically, it's just not that great.
No, it's not a great place to live. So I mean,
so fine, buy a house in the suburbs.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, would you rather play for a football team that's 1-6 or a team that's going to the playoffs? That's the heart of it. Yeah,
I was just trying to understand where David was coming from.
He's basically the captain of this chess team, though, besides maybe Le'Veon. So I don't think he wants to lose that either. And if he did want to leave, why wouldn't he just shut up and let it happen? Because he had to understand, or at least his agent had to understand and say something to him. This is going to hurt your trade value. Think about this shit before you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think he did. You know what I mean?
But I'm saying, like, someone in his life had to say this to him before this happened. Don't you think? Don't you think his agent would be on top of this?
And I think what we're trying to say is that he didn't listen. I'm sure it happened. I'm sure he
I agree.
did.
I mean, even if he didn't listen, he got so PR like 48 hours later. It was ridiculous. It was disgusting. I don't think anyone told him that he had to do that.
But he's done crazy shit before. It's not like it's his first time.
They told him not to do this.
I know he doesn't listen anymore. He doesn't care.
Oh yeah. But don't
he's done crazy shit in the past. He doesn't give a shit.
No,
I just don't understand. I don't understand how you could be a professional athlete and not like when you think about sports media and Twitter accounts and Instagrams in professional sports, it goes one of two ways. You either clearly have a content team who create a beautiful image of yourself, or you're someone like J.J. Watt who just tweets nothing but positivity all day, or you're someone like Jamal Adams or Antonio Brown, or these people who just go on tirades on Twitter thinking that it has any legitimacy to it.
Don't compare Jamal to AB. Please don't.
Yeah.
I'm saying that tantrums on social media do nothing but hurt your image. It is. It's the same exact thing. You can't tell me that right now in sports, social media is used for one of two ways: to have a professional team control your image, or to throw a little tantrum because you can't say it to the media, so you tweet behind a screen. I mean, Antonio Brown's obviously on an absurd level, but at the end of the day, Jamal Adams threw a tantrum on Twitter. That's it.
You're right. You're
That's
right.
it.
But I was just saying, like, don't compare Jamal Adams, who had a tantrum, I'm not arguing that, to literally the worst athlete on social media ever.
Both are bad on social media. They're both in the same category.
It's more than just social media for AB, though.
It's literally his brand.
I think this will blow over, though. At the end of the day, he's not a bad guy. Adams, I mean, I've only heard him talk a couple times, but he seems like a good guy. I think he's a team guy.
I think he's just passionate. I think he's just a super passionate guy, and he just wants to win, and it shows. He's just passionate, and it just shows in his press conference, but he's an idiot at the same time.
I think he realized this is the only way for the Jets to be a storyline in the media, so he ran with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be a New York storyline next year, too.
All right, Ryan got his quick jab in. Okay, we all happy now? All right. We can keep going. So we've got some news coming out of the NBA last night. The Warriors have confirmed Steph Curry broke his left hand. Steph came down funny after a shot last night and had Phoenix Suns center Aaron Bynes come down on him. The Warriors are going to see if Curry needs surgery, but between Steph missing a couple weeks and Klay Thompson out for a few months, if not the entire season, Ryan, are the Warriors going to be a lottery team this year?
I don't know if I'd go that far. I think that if Steph doesn't miss a considerable amount of time, there's no way they're a lottery team. I think if Steph gets serious, like big time surgery, is out for months, maybe. But I don't think you can call them a lottery team yet.
Lawrence, you're making a funny face.
I do.
Really?
If this guy misses time, dude.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. If he misses time, sure.
They are not the same, my friend. They are not the same this year. They are a bad basketball team. You see the score at the end of the first quarter yesterday? Not saying this is in any way indicative of the type of basketball the Warriors play, but the Phoenix Suns were beating them after the first quarter, 43-14. They came back. I think they only lost by it's somewhere in between 15 and 10 points, maybe 20 and 10. I'm not sure, but it was ugly, man. They're getting capped as dogs in Vegas now. And that was before Steph broke his hand. They could be a lottery team, man. And the only reason I say that, I think if they were in the East, they're not a lottery team. But they're not. The West is real good, man. The West might have 6 of the best 8 basketball teams in the NBA. If not 8. I mean, they're.
It's not that bad.
It's probably not that bad, right? But only the 76ers and Toronto. I mean Milwaukee, maybe. That's it. And who even knows if they're good? The West is good, and without their 3 best players from last year, the Warriors, deep trouble.
I mean, Steph being out is probably 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand, maybe 2 months, maybe 8 weeks. Depends how bad.
I saw 3 to 6 is what I saw on the internet, but I trust you.
Okay, yeah. Well, 4 to 6 seems like an accurate, broken hand. Weeks.
Oh,
weeks.
okay. I was like, whoa.
No, yeah, weeks. It just seems, what it would be. But like you said, it's definitely the West too, not the East. Completely different storyline. But D'Angelo Russell did carry a team to the playoffs, a much worse team to the playoffs last year, and he's effectively their best player right now. But it was in the other conference.
The Nets.
Yeah, but they didn't have anyone. Nobody was in the level of Draymond Green on that Nets team last year. Nobody. You know what I mean? But now Klay and Steph are out for a while. Steph will come back. I don't think they'll be a lottery team either because 8 or 15 make it, but they'll probably be a 7 or 8. Yeah. And everyone now, because they've been so good for the last year and blown everyone out and been so cocky about it this past 5-year run, this dynasty they had, now every team that plays them wants to blow them out and show them up. And you get everyone's best game every night when you don't have your best 3 players from last season.
Yep.
Big difference.
Nikki, you got something for us?
I like Steph. I wish him a quick recovery. I'm not a big basketball fan at all. So this is going to sound super hot take, very biased. It's not the reason why I joined the podcast today, gentlemen, but I think today what basketball has become, and it's a shame because it is a fun sport, it's all about the storylines. It's the next WWE, and the basketball games is an appetizer that you just eat on the side, and then the main course is the social media, Instagram, Twitter beefs. And honestly, I could not care less about basketball. I don't know if it's a hot take or not. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I just think it's the next WWE. The storylines matter, the games don't.
It's absolutely not a hot take, Nick. It's not a hot take at all, and this might be the first podcast we've ever actually dedicated a segment on basketball to.
I think it is
and
the first NBA.
To your point, Nick, I could not tell you one single score from any NBA game last night, but I can tell you that Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid beefed on Twitter after they scuffled on the floor last night.
One calling each other a pussy, next calling each other a bitch. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
to Nick's analogy of WWE, Ben Simmons put Karl Anthony Towns in a headlock. That did happen.
That's true. So now we're converting
Towns put Embiid in a headlock. Isn't that what happened?
We're taking the storylines and making it into the games, which is just beautiful.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you guys are excited, but there's a movie coming out about the ref who gambled or whatever, fixed the sport. So yeah, can't wait for that movie.
Yep. Isn't Adam Sandler playing it too?
That's a different gambling movie.
A different gambling movie. Oh, okay.
Hollywood's starting to get into gambling too. So
now that it's legal, right? I think wasn't Anthony Towns the one that put Embiid in the headlock though, or am I mistaken?
No,
I'm not sure.
Simmons
Simmons kind of got him in like an actual headlock.
Yeah,
like a choke when they were on the ground after the Embiid Town scuffle had been cleared up.
Oh, I got you.
Like this is the story I was going to tell. I have a coworker that loves basketball, hates hockey, and I know it's ridiculous.
Most of America is that way, though.
He was the one, right. So he was the one telling me about the scuffle because I had heard nothing about it because it's completely irrelevant. And when he tried to find videos of the Simmons headlock, he couldn't. So it took him a while to find one that had the angle of the headlock that Luke is talking about. But the funny story that I had with him today was he asked me, did you see, because he knows that I'm a huge hockey fan, he's a big basketball fan. He was like, did you see the fight between Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid? And I said, no, in my sport, when there's fights, it doesn't make the news. And that's it. Just happens, man.
The NBA has become a reality show that keeps score.
Yes, exactly.
It's a reality TV show, but they have
no
score.
No one cares.
We're just really alienating every basketball fan here.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone cares about the scores. They're just like, oh, what did LeBron tweet today? What did Joel Embiid say to, it doesn't matter.
Can LeBron trademark Taco Tuesday?
Yeah.
What's the Lakers' record this year? I don't know.
No one knows.
Right.
What kind of tacos is LeBron making this Tuesday? Chicken tacos?
Chicken taco.
Because he got four. All right. we're getting off topic.
Though, I like basketball.
That's my
Don't
fault.
like
I'm
the
sorry
NBA.
about getting off topic. I just had to say
so
take on
basketball. Great. We appreciate your feedback, man. So speaking of basketball, this week the NCAA voted unanimously to allow college athletes to make money from their name, image, and likeness. Back in our first episode, we talked about the Fair Pay to Play Act, where California made the first move and allowed this for their athletes. The NCAA threatened to take action against California, but now they're allowing every athlete nationwide this opportunity. So Ryan and David, you two have historically been against this idea, going all the way back to our time on WQAQ doing Three Guys Talking Sports. Now that it's here, do you feel any differently?
Isn't it not pay to play? It's pay for likeness, you said, right?
There's
two very different things.
Yep.
Very different things.
Name. All right, go ahead.
So, I've been against pay to play. I don't mind the likeness thing. Pay to play is pay to play your sport. Likeness is just endorsements, which they were not allowed to take for no reason. Like Zion Williamson could not make money off the shoe that busted and almost ruined his career last year. That shouldn't be that way. He should be a Nike, and now he hates Nike for it too. And I would too, wouldn't you? Pay to play would be if he got $3 million to play that season. You know what I mean?
I didn't think California is like paying them to play college sports. I think that was just the name of the legislation. Am I making that up?
Did they call it
Got
pay to
this whole
play? Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's definitely what California called it. That's 100%.
If that's what they called it, then that's I'm mixing things up here.
I'm pretty sure the legislation is the same though. I'm pretty sure that's just the name of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
likeness. Yeah.
Likeness is honestly fine because then it's limited to football and basketball. The reason, like I've said at least years ago on our old radio show, that I'm against it is because once you start paying football and basketball, you're going to have to pay hockey and baseball and lacrosse and swimming. And these schools are going to just start cutting these sports because there's no reason to pay these players when they don't make any money. Because football and basketball are the only college sports that actually make money. In the end of the day, those are the two. Hockey and baseball get a little bit of popularity, but they don't generate anywhere near the revenue that football and basketball do. And football is like this over basketball. Basketball is just the only other one that has an income.
Yeah, seriously. And that's why I think pay for likeness really works well, right? Because you can still give a scholarship to the D3 school field hockey goalie, right? But she doesn't have a camera in her face everywhere she walks, right? So we live in a capitalist society. And Zion deserved to make money last year.
Absolutely.
Every college athlete on the planet cannot be paid a salary. Possible. You are
just cut the sports.
You're basically being paid a salary in the form of a scholarship anyway, if you get one, right? So I mean, I think this was great. Big win for the NCAA, or big win for the players, I should say. The NCAA is probably not thrilled.
Ryan, I know you want to speak, but I have it in front of me. California Senate Bill 206, also known as the Fair Pay to Play Act, is a California bill that will allow collegiate athletes to acquire endorsements and sponsorships while maintaining athletic eligibility.
So it's pay for likeness.
Right.
Yeah. Correct.
But they called it pay to play, which is what confused me dearly.
Me too.
Yeah, pay to play.
Me too. So I think, from my perspective, I think David hits the nail on the head. I've always been against there are people who think that colleges should have their own salary cap and you can pay different players and that's how you recruit them and all these ideas, and I think that's ridiculous. I don't think that athletes should get a weekly paycheck for playing collegiate sports. For me, I personally don't think that is fair. I think that what they get in scholarships and things like that is what college sports is about. With that being said, I'm right on with David. I think that there's no reason that these top tier football players who are all over ESPN and come on, when generic school shirts with the number that player is wearing is the only shirt that's being sold, no one's gonna be like, oh, I bought this insert big school here's jersey with insert big player name here's number. Like that's just, you know what I mean? Like I think it's always been absurd that the amount of money that's generated that these kids didn't get to benefit from for their own, when you are selling stuff that represents them. And I think that's what this is the benefit for, is that these kids who have to face ESPN reporters 7 days out of the week. I mean, some of these college kids talk to more ESPN reporters than professional athletes do. I mean, that's just a fact. ESPN covers probably more college games than they do some small market professional sports teams. And I think that when these kids have these jerseys that are being sold after them and bobbleheads and this and that and you name it, they should be able to get money from that. I don't think that part was fair. But I still do not think that athletes should get game checks or every 2 weeks to play the sport that they're already getting to attend school for free or partially for free for. And so that's why I think that this is the best of both worlds. So this doesn't change my opinion on it. And like David said, I still don't think that athletes should be paid to play. However, I think that if the NCAA is making millions and millions and millions of dollars off these kids annually because of things they're selling directly correlated to them, that they should have a piece of that pie.
There was an Olympian swimmer a couple years ago.
No-brainer.
Yeah, but so there was an Olympian swimmer a couple of years ago who she wanted to swim in college. She already won a gold medal, and she wouldn't take any endorsements because of this. So this would have now allowed her or people like her to do this. So I think it's good from that perspective.
I was going to say, was it Ledecky?
I don't remember her name. She went to Stanford. I feel like her name was Emily. It was Ledecky. Yeah. She refused to take any endorsements because she wanted to swim in her senior year of college. Think about that.
Ryan, the shirt I'm wearing right now, I bought and I had to put the name and number on the back myself. I would love to give my friend Greg some money.
I think it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, obviously, I think everyone in America, 100% across the board is on with this. I don't see how anybody could say these kids don't deserve it. I mean, they're like Ryan said, they're talking to reporters. They're on ESPN every night, SportsCenter every night. I mean, there's no reason for it. And you get back NCAA Madden, so that's another treat for us.
Yeah.
And Kenny, happy all around. You get paid for me playing you as a QB. And thank you for that.
Nick's been itching to bring back that Oregon franchise he started back 7 years ago.
One, if you played NCAA 06 to 08 and didn't play with USC, or if you played NCAA 06 to 08 and you didn't either play with USC or Oregon, you were doing it wrong. Two, I think that the reason that the NCAA also, this is hopefully going to affect January of 2021, and this is so that the NCAA has an entire year to write up some ridiculous process that makes them even more money than what they're making now. So, everyone's all excited about it now. Let's wait and see what absurd parameters the NCAA puts on this and the crazy amount of limitations. Because right now it makes them look so good, but when this actually gets put into effect in 2021, let's see how convoluted it is and how much the NCAA has spun this to just make themselves more money.
Oh, yeah.
So let's hold off on applauding an organization like the NCAA until it's in writing and we can see people actually benefit from them and not them making a PR stunt right now to combat what's happening in California.
Although they did drop it in a crazy NFL deadline news cycle, though. They dumped it. They didn't want people to talk about it.
That is true.
I'm going to see if
I
I
tried
can
to cover this up.
Stupid. We're all 10%, say, I don't know, autographs and jersey sales and whatever you want to call it. 10% goes back to the NCAA, or 20% goes back to the NCAA. It's going to be absurd. It's something stupid. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yep.
It's going to be something ridiculous like that, and the players are still going to – the NCAA will make more money than the players do regardless, and that'll be that. They'll get some lunch money maybe so they don't – maybe a bowl of pasta if they're lucky.
Except for the Zion, the Tua – the top 5 players are going to make serious money off of this, and everyone else, it's not going to.
So I found the SportsCenter tweet that announced that this legislation went through. This is the wording the NCAA used.
There we go.
You can make that money from the name, image, and likeness in a manner consistent with the collegiate model. So we'll see how that pans out. Exactly.
That's the point.
We'll find
so you can't sell. It's going to be you can't sell your autograph online or eBay, right? You can't sell your shit like that, probably. And I don't know.
It's going to have to all be. You know what it is? It's going to have to all be team and school oriented.
Regulated,
They're going to
have to be regulated
kids
through the school
so that they can't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
We'll see.
So, Nick, you're our guest. I'm going to let you do the honors. Can you please ask Lawrence what time it is?
Lawrence, what time is it?
Mailbag!
Hey!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mailbag. And before we get into the mailbag, we're starting something new here on Four Guys Talking Sports. So earlier this week, we announced we'll be doing questions of the week from here on out. We get asked questions all the time, but now we want to hear from you. So earlier this week, I asked, who was your favorite athlete on a team that you don't root for? And we got quite the list of answers. So we had Cowboys fan Tom Kamau said Russell Wilson. Patriots fan Pat Pitt said Dan Bailey, which I thought was the craziest answer we've gotten. Eagles fan Mikey Zuckerford said Saquon Barkley. Jets fan Justin Cerise said Drew Brees. Giants fan Justin Paskins said Jimmy Garoppolo. Yankee fan John Franklin said Walker Buehler. And Ranger fan Chris Miranda said PK Subban. Lawrence, he said you could vouch for him on that one.
Yeah, he does love PK. I try to talk him out of it.
So Matt Bell.
That goes way back, Nick. 2014 Rangers.
Oh, I believe it.
Bad news. Oof.
Jet fan Matt Ballet's original answer was Gardner Minshew, to which he said, no, there has to be someone better. And now he went with Teddy Bridgewater. And a friend of the show, Dave Davino, gave his answer for all 4 Big 4 sports. Lawrence, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dave likes the Knicks, the Yankees, the Giants, and the Rangers, right?
Correct.
So Dave's answers are LeBron James, Mike Trout, Aaron Rodgers, and Alex Ovechkin. So that's a lot of respect coming from Dave.
Oh, my God.
What an awful list. What an awful list.
They're the best people in the world.
Very safe list from Dave Davino.
Safe list.
But, gentlemen, I want to hear from you. So who's your favorite player on a team that you don't root for? Nick, you can start us.
Yeah, for baseball, I think it's pretty easy. Christian Yelich, man. He is the man. He's young. He's good. He's a stud. I can't believe he got hurt. I think if he does not get hurt, I think Milwaukee wins and we don't have the Nationals as the World Series champs, but that's my own opinion. Whoa, basketball. Basketball. I would have to say, you guys might bully me on this one because I don't really like basketball, but Curry would probably be my guy there. Football. It would have to be Mahomes. I love that kid. He is so fun to watch. I try to watch Kansas City games because I love watching him. And NHL, I can't give a name because I haven't watched a single game in 5 years. I know nobody on.
Pretty safe list out of you too, Diekmann, though.
Well, football, I guess.
That wasn't nearly as
Yelich
safe.
isn't safe.
That wasn't nearly.
It wasn't nearly as safe. No.
Mike Trout is the best player since Babe Ruth, and you're gonna pick Mike Trout, of course.
Yeah, right.
All right, Lawrence, you want to go?
I'm kind of torn. I've had a long time to think about this, and it's still hard for me. I was trying to figure out a way to say Carmelo Anthony for basketball. I was really hoping he would have magically got signed from the time you posed the question to now, but I can't. So for basketball, I think for me it was definitely Kevin Durant before he started being a Twitter whiner too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pass on that one. NHL, I have a weird one. It's Jonathan Marchessault, and that's almost like a little bit of a passion project for me. Like when he was a third-line winger on the Florida Panthers, for some reason, I was like, this kid's good. And he blew up. So I really like watching him play. Small, feisty guy. Football's tough. It's really tough. I was a bad person to throw this to. Really bad person to throw this to. Because I don't like any other team. I love the Vegas Golden Knights, and that's why I picked them. I don't know. There's players I appreciate, I guess. But...
Who is your most appreciated?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, give us your number one.
That's the right question.
Yeah, what would your number one overall be?
What would my number one overall be?
Yeah.
Jonathan Marchessault. I mean, the one that I already said.
All right, that's fine.
There you go.
David, what about you?
All right, I'm leaving it at that.
So mine would have been Kevin Durant until he signed with Brooklyn. So that kind of screwed that up. But I'm going to go with Connor McDavid, actually, who is also happens to be the only player jersey that I own that's not a player on a team I root for. So, I mean, not very ironic. But yeah, since he's been drafted, the kid's been amazing. He's just a joy to watch. I really enjoy watching him play hockey.
Ryan, what about you?
So I got two. I got one safe one, and then I got one really random one. So I'll start with my safe one first. My safe one's Sid Crosby, and he's been super dominant, but that's not necessarily why I picked him. I think what's so great about Sid is this kid has been in the spotlight since he has been 13 years old, and he has never made waves. He has been the most consistent, even-keeled, conservative player. He's got up. He's done what he's had to do since. Imagine being 13 years old and being viral and living up to the hype from the time you were 13 until now. And he's never had a bad piece of news written about him. He's never done anything wrong. But he's not overly he's very to himself. He's very private. He just does what he needs to do. So I like Sid. He's dominant. He's incredible. Some of the plays he's made this year are insane. Look up his highlights of his tap passes behind him. He doesn't even shoulder check to see people are behind him. He literally gets the puck and just little touch pass right over. It's insane. So that's my safe pick. My not safe pick is Luke Kuechly. I love Luke Kuechly. And I know it's going to raise some eyebrows. A BC kid, hell of a football player, and he's a ton of fun to watch on defense. He is all over the place as a linebacker. So I think that one may not be a popular answer that people were thinking about. But if your team ever ends up playing the Panthers anytime soon, watch Kuechly because I think he's a ton of fun to watch on defense. He's in the middle of everything.
All right, that's awesome. So all
right, mailbag.
Yeah, all right, cool. Oh, Ryan,
Luke, did you give yours?
No, I did not give mine. But Ryan, give
Not
next
mailbag.
Before I give my answer, Ryan, give next week's question.
So I was frustrated by this because I have a lot of athletes that I love that don't play team sports. And so I wanted to expand this to who's your favorite individual athlete. And I think because might be a little tighter, we could also go all time because I think that not too many people are going to think of individual athletes. So I think you can do individual athletes of all time. But I think there's a lot of great individual athletes that this question we didn't get a chance to talk about, and it'll give us a chance to talk about athletes that we don't normally talk about on the show. So next week, best individual athlete
of all time for you.
Yep, your favorite individual athlete.
So, David, answer. This question was inspired by Alex Bregman, who is MLB-wise. MLB-wise is my favorite player not on my team. And listen, he's not counting Rendon or Arenado. He's my favorite. He's the best third baseman in the league. And the guy's just a national killer. I love the guy. He's incredible. He's really clutch. He's my favorite. My favorite athlete not on my team, Lawrence will understand this one, and you guys won't. It's Ryan Kessler. Because Ryan Kessler is the last remaining player from that Canucks team that made me fall in love with hockey, and hockey's my favorite sport. So everyone else on that little team that I first started watching hockey with is now retired, and Ryan Kessler, even though everyone hates him in Anaheim because he's got one of the worst contracts in hockey, is the American hero. He's one of the guys that I first started watching. I love him. So Ryan Kessler's my answer.
Luke, how'd that Canucks season end for you?
That wasn't the year that you guys beat us. It was the year after. So, yeah, Matt Sundin was still playing hockey back then, pal. Don't worry. All right. So, mailbag.
Finally. What I've been waiting for.
So,
mailbag.
We've touched on this question. We've already touched on it. So we're just going to rush right into it. Kyle Calhoun wants to know, having only thrown 70 pitches, does everyone think it was the right move to take Greinke out of the game?
Wow, we talked about this.
No. Absolute no-brainer,
on the same page. Yeah, just make sure everyone gets out on the same page. So, Pat Pitts wants to know, does this MVP award and outstanding World Series performance make Strasburg a more valuable free agent than Garrett Cole?
No,
but they're very close. But they were always very close.
That's right.
isn't Garrett Cole younger?
I
Probably.
So
and
maybe.
Yeah. Had
And
better stats
Strasburg needs to opt out of his contract
And his
to be a
pitches
free
are
agent.
nuts.
Yeah, Strasburg needs to opt out. He's not even technically a free agent yet. So that needs to happen. So Chris Miranda wants to know, if you could only pick one, who would you rather punch in the throat, Jamal Adams or Baker Mayfield?
Baker.
Definitely Baker.
Definitely.
Jamal.
Yeah, Brian's a Pats fan.
What's wrong with Baker?
Jamal did wreck his mascot.
But with more microphones in his face.
Jamal did concuss the Patriot. That did happen.
You laid Pat the Patriot out.
I got so mad at Luke for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. We're not even going to bring that up. That was so dumb. Luke, sent that tweet to me. He was like, oh, look at this. And I was like, yo, sick, dude. That's how the Jets are still relevant in February. You have to tackle a fucking mascot because your team is never played football in February. So congratulations, Luke. Enjoy your little tweet with Jamal Adams concussing Pat the Patriot while we went on to win the Super Bowl.
He's been autographed and he sees that disgusting head. He goes, that's it.
So, and to close out mailbag, Jake Bullion has two questions. So his first question is, where do we prefer to hear Joe Buck? Calling baseball or calling football?
Definitely baseball for me.
I agree. I think that was a push crack. I think he is. I think baseball's his thing.
His voice is classic too. You just hear and X and X when the World's here. It's just nice.
Yeah, just like that time he called the Altuve walk off, right, Nick?
All right, dude. Okay. Enough.
Well, it's funny. I was that up.
I could say something bad about the Mets, but I won't. I won't do it.
That's so easy.
I'll be nice.
It's too easy, Nick. Too easy.
You know what it is? They're sad. It's just sad. I cry for the Mets sometimes. I feel bad for them.
Thank you, Nick. I do too.
And you're a Jets fan, so you get it.
I get. Well, I always say the Jets are the Mets of football, right?
That's why I have the same sympathy for the Jets. I'm not a Jets fan, but I feel it. I feel for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ryan doesn't know empathy. And Jake's last question is, in a world where Dan Snyder has been shipped off to the sun, which NFL team would we consider the worst run team in the league?
That's a good question.
I think it's the Arizona Cardinals because they drafted an actual midget over Nick Bosa this year, and that seems just seems like it was unnecessary.
What about the Bengals? I don't know. The Bengals are pretty.
Yeah, the Bengals are bad. They also did Andy Dalton pretty damn dirty this week.
Dirty, terrible.
Yeah, that team went way too long without firing Marvin Lewis. So
that's also
they had that going for them. The Chargers are a mess because they don't have a fan base.
Or the Panthers.
The Jets are a complete mess.
So my
this might be a hot take. The Steelers aren't really well run either.
Ryan's got it.
No, don't say that.
No,
but
Steelers are having
they've
bad.
had the best
The
offensive
Steelers have
line.
it real bad.
They've had the best offensive line in the league for like the past decade.
You're right,
That's
but
not
Tom-
badly run.
And Mike
That's
Tomlin
greatly run.
is one of the most winningest coaches in football.
He's
Mike
actually
Tomlin,
never had a losing season.
Mike
Yeah.
Tomlin. It doesn't matter.
have
What have
you
they done in
seen
the
the last
playoffs?
2 years of
Nothing.
the Steelers?
Who cares?
We're talking about
With
badly
that
run. That's not badly
Are you
run.
kidding?
Yeah, it's not badly run. I
Yeah.
mean that's shitty playoff. I mean that's shitty playoffs management, but that's not badly
They're
run.
they're a train wreck
if-
at this moment, but they're not one of
Yes.
the worst franchises in the NFL. What?
I was
It's the
gonna
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Can I
Yeah,
get in
that's
my
that's a
point?
weird take.
That's a
Can
bad
I-
take.
no.
I
So
just-
Ryan,
That's a cold take.
can I talk? Is that okay with
Yes.
everyone? Is that cool? So I did. So you guys are all correct in the realm that the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the better football teams of my generation, at least. But from Ryan's point, have you looked at the last 2 years of the Steelers team? It's legitimately a soap opera. It's legitimately a soap opera, and you
But
can't
one-
argue otherwise.
But one bad year isn't bad. I mean
Isn't
that's
Dan
not like
Snyder-
Is it
yeah.
what?
It's not Dan Snyder.
Well, Dan
Yeah,
Snyder's
yeah.
on the
The
Sun.
Redskins-
He's literally
Listen
The
to
trying
the
to
Redskins have been
question.
atrocious
Listen to the
for
question.
The Sun
over a
right now.
decade.
I know he's on the Sun right now, but that's my point. Is he's saying if Dan
Right,
Snyder was
you
shipped off
compare-
the Sun,
You
who?
have to compare it to the Redskins. Who's comparable to the Redskins?
Right, the Bengals, the Chargers, the Jets,
The Bengals.
perhaps.
Cardinals.
You're acting like this
You
is
can't compare Steelers. You can't compare Steelers to the
I
fucking
think you guys are. We're acting like this is our my first choice. I agree. The Bengals are the worst run behind if Snyder on the Sun,
That's
Bengals the
question,
worst.
right?
But let's add some conversation to it, right? If the five of us on this podcast went, yeah, Bengals are pretty bad. All right, on the next segment, that wouldn't be fun.
Hey man, I said
But I
Cardinals.
don't think. I think that Steelers with Bell, Brown, and Big Ben should have at least made it to a Super Bowl. And I don't think that Mike Tomlin might be a great regular season coach. I think he should not have had a job a long time ago after losing that many playoff games with that team. I don't think Mike Tomlin should have had a job. He has made some horrific calls in the playoffs that have cost them games.
Yeah, and you guys know me. I'm all for yelling at Ryan. And I'm just trying to like this happens so much. I'm just trying to like validate the point a little bit. I'm not trying to like and you guys are just coming down on oh goodness.
That's our job, Luke. Come on.
Sorry.
Look,
We have
guys,
to
they're-
all stressed out.
They have too much talent on that team to be badly run. I understand the Bell and Brown going crazy and leaving thing, but it's not your fault that your best two skill players lost their minds.
Yeah, but shouldn't you be able to handle that? Isn't that being part?
What could you have done to handle your star receiver hucking footballs at your quarterback's head, besides trading him?
Which they did.
Which they did, right? And your running back decided he's gonna not play. He just quit. He said, "Guys, I'm gonna stay home this year. Sorry." Now he's a Jet. So see what you did.
Almost wasn't a Jet.
All right. Well, this episode has gone on long enough. The mailbag's empty. Nick, thank you so much for coming on this episode.
Hey,
We
guys,
loved
thank
having
you.
you. You know you're welcome back anytime. So, there we have it. Thank you, everyone, for listening on YouTube, Spotify, and now Apple Podcasts.
Oh,
So happy to have
Nice.
you. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Follow us on any podcast service that you use. My name is Luke Legrano.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Acasella.
I'm Lawrence Legrano.
Nick,
I think you gotta give a sign off.
There
you
he
go.
is. Nick's got to
I
get
wasn't
us
sure
out.
what we're doing here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening. We'll see you next time. Take care.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you.
Of course, man. It's a pleasure.
Spay your pets.
There we go.